On Thursday, people of the world observed World Teachers' Day. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization states that the day aims to raise awareness about the significant contribution teachers make. Addressing the 23rd National Teaching Awards, Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga lauded teachers and their critical role in society. But then again, teachers face a myriad of challenges, from overcrowded classrooms, discipline, to inclusive learning. For more on this conversation, we're now joined by NAPTOSA Executive Director Basil Manuel and Michelle Khumalo, a teacher at Abraham Hlophe Primary School. A very good evening to you both. Basil, allow me to start with you. Now, Minister Angie Motshekga mentioned that teachers work under extremely difficult circumstances. Elaborate on some of these challenges that teachers face in South Africa.
Thank you very much, Hugo, and good evening to Michelle as well.
Good evening.
Hugo, to just start off with things like overcrowded classes. Michelle is, for example, in a grade 1 class. If she has 30 and 40 children, particularly because those type of classes are leaning towards 40 rather than 30, it becomes crowd control, and it's hardly what one would call teaching. But then there are other types of challenges that have been around for a long time. There are schools without water supply as a norm. Then now, of course, we now have this additional problem of water. Then, of course, we have still schools without ablutions. We have infrastructure that is in a poor state. Then there are provinces where teachers are not readily appointed when one goes off ill or goes off on maternity leave. And these are some of the things. But when it comes to the actual curriculum, and that is where I want to focus, one of our biggest problems, and we hear the criticism about reading, but we don't have texts in schools. I don't know if Michelle has texts to send home with her children to go and practice reading. And reading isn't something that you get by standing next to somebody. You've got to practice it yourself. And if without the texts, without the resources, these are the things that challenge us the most. And teachers are digging into their pockets. Schools are making all sorts of plans to keep schools still working, and that in itself is a problem.
Michelle, coming to you, I suppose the first point would be Happy World Teachers' Day. Now, you're a significant part of every learner's life. I remember my grade 1 teacher, Mrs. Mitchell, from many, many years ago. Now, you mentioned that you've been in the business, so to speak, for the last 2 years. Speak to us about that experience as you welcome these young ones into the world of school, if you will.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thanks again once for the invite. I concur with our previous speaker because currently I am teaching in a grade 1 classroom, and I have 45 learners. Last year I had 50, and it's so hard because what we taught in tertiary is really hard to now bring it back to practice, because we're looking at, when teaching reading, we're trying to do group guided reading, we're trying to do one-on-one sessions, but you can imagine that with a class of 45 learners, it's hard to actually give those learners that one-on-one time. And then we have an issue of, we have learners with multiple intelligences. So not everyone can just understand by, you delivering a lesson and then them grasping the knowledge. So we're trying to introduce teaching aids. We're trying to accommodate the learners with learning difficulties, but it is so hard. And I'm currently teaching in a school that, has previously disadvantaged communities. So it's a non-fee paying school. So even resources, they rely on us, the teachers, as well as the schools. And, with me, to try, curve, those issues that we face, because once again, we are aware that's an issue we're facing in South Africa. So it's up to you as the teacher to see what change and what difference can I bring within my classroom to ensure that my learners get the best, So they might not be in a Model C school, they might not be in a private school, but what can I do as a teacher to deliver and ensure that they get that quality of education? So for me, it's extra hours of working, after school, it's preparing, creating my activities. I even have a WhatsApp group with my parents, which I got consent for in the beginning of the year, to ask them that since, due to the limited time, because remember also the curriculum requires us to teach a certain number of activities within a term. And realistically speaking, with where our learners are, it's so hard because while you might have a group of 10 learners that are on par, that can keep up, but you have another 30 that is left behind. So that's where we rely on the community at large, which is your parents, which is your fellow educators, as well as our school management, to come together with us. And that's where my WhatsApp group works with the parents, because I use it to share the homeworks, to share the readings. I've got homework books where I put the readings in. I'll tell parents, hi parents, for today, please let's cover page 1, 2, and then I can assess them. So I try my best to work around the clock, because realistically, with the issues we face as a country, it is really hard. So that motivation needs to be coming from within, because if you are going to rely on the government, and if you are going to rely on, the school at large, then I feel like we stand a chance of being depressed. So it's really, really up to us. But so far, I think I'm managing, but that's because of my personal motivation.
Well, you certainly seem to be doing an incredible job, Trevor. Now, the theme for this year's World Teachers' Day is the teachers we need for the education we want. And Michelle obviously typifies that, because she's going beyond the call of duty to ensure that learners are able to learn in the best possible environment, given the circumstances. Now, Trevor, is it a case of government taking teachers or educators for granted, do you think? I mean, when you talk about 50 learners in a class, it also speaks to the quality of education that those learners are going to receive, does it not?
It certainly does. And Hugo, don't confuse me with Trevor.
Basil, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon, Basil.
Not at all. Hugo, we sometimes get that sense that we are being taken for granted. And if you look at Michelle, she's a young lady, a young, vibrant teacher, definitely the type of teacher we want in our schools. But of course, she's digging into her pockets, she's going the extra mile, she's burning herself out. And this is not how it's supposed to be. There must be support. And I don't want to ask people like Michelle to work less. No, not at all. That is what we want. And we want people who can inspire others. However, it is not the teacher's responsibility to dig into their pockets to get resources. In no-fee schools, there is supposed to be money that is lying with the department, and you have to order against that allocation. Now, of course, it doesn't quite happen like that. It takes forever for stuff to come. By then, you've passed that point. And if you are in grade 1, I was a principal of a primary school, and I know how many books they are supposed to cover. It is, if my memory serves me correct, 22 books in grade 1. And I will guarantee you that 90% of our schools don't have those books. And then we complain about the reading ability. Similarly with mathematics. Now, Michelle made an important point about children at different levels of development and how you have to ensure that you bring those who are a little further behind up to speed. Now, it has to do with grade R. It has to do with our preschooling system. And of course we know that there are moves afoot to make grade R compulsory. That's a great initiative, because that then begins to level the playing field. Otherwise, the teacher in grade 1 has to do that work, doubling over, going back to grade R, then coming to grade 1. By then, of course, the other kids have already moved on. So yes, we feel taken advantage of. Yes, we feel it should be better after all this time. And yes, we feel that more can be done to support these enthusiastic teachers like Michelle is.
Now, Michelle, do you feel appreciated? Sorry, then we certainly have lost Michelle there. But coming back to you, Basil, I'll carry on the conversation with you. In what ways can communities, parents, and the society as a whole contribute to recognizing and appreciating the efforts of teachers in South Africa, particularly when we have the illustration of Michelle from moments ago, where she's going over and beyond what she's expected to be doing?
Hugo, what we simply need is for parents to show that they are supporting teachers. This is number one, because it goes to issues of discipline. And it's not only discipline. When a parent is involved, they are in touch with what their children should do. Children are very clever, and they pull the wool over everybody's eyes. And if a parent is not aware that there is work to be done, like reading, they simply just assume that, okay, nothing has come from the school. And we know most of our parents are working, or they are out looking for work. So you don't blame them for not knowing. However, if we have a mechanism like the WhatsApp group that Michelle spoke about to stay in touch, parents must come to meetings with the teachers early. It doesn't help coming at the end of the year when there are already huge problems that have developed. And schools call these parent-teacher conferences where they can talk about the progress of learners. So parents play a pivotal role. The schools that have a minimal number of incidents of ill discipline are the schools that have the highest parental involvement. Children don't want you to call their parents into school. They don't want their parents to know of some of the things that they do get up to at school. So parents are critical in that triumvirate of the parent, the school, and the department. To make it work, we need those three to be working together in the best interest of the child.
Are there plans to invest in teacher training and professional development to enhance the quality of education in the country?
Up to now, I think the department will agree with me that they have had very great difficulty doing professional development. As a result, we have the teacher unions that have come in, and we as a union, we do professional development with thousands of teachers. Now, some of this is supported by the department itself, in that we get a small little budget to assist, but much of this comes from the very fees that teachers pay to belong to a union. And we then create the opportunities. But it is the responsibility of the employer, that is the Department of Education, to develop teachers, to create more opportunities for development. But there are also many other instances of professional development that happens. But it also starts with the teacher. Teachers must, out of their own, also develop themselves. It can't only be provided. And I don't think we have enough opportunity for our teachers to do that. And with the changing world, Hugo, that we are living in, where 10 years ago, nobody spoke about coding. Today, everybody's talking about coding. Some of our teachers, when they hear a word like coding, they want to run for the hills because they just feel that they are inadequate. Now, the only way that you get beyond that is by providing them with this demystifying of things like coding and robotics, etc., because everybody can learn. It doesn't only mean that it is the youngest teacher who can do that. Some of the younger ones can't. So we do need more professional development, particularly so that our teachers can teach and ready children for the 21st century skills, as well as for the changing world, the world we don't know. We don't know what 5 years will bring, and yet we have to prepare children for that.
Basil Manuel, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for speaking to us.